Now, as a Spanish-speaking person, what do I think about Donald Trump sending troops to the U.S. border to stop the migrant caravan? Well, actually, I don't think it's a bad idea. If a foreign country is going to send that many people into your country like they have been doing in Europe, I would suggest, if I was in politics, to actually prevent that amount of people coming in without documentation, coming in illegally basically. And the thing is that I speak Spanish. I'm a person who was born in Latin America, so I do have sympathy for the people that are coming from Latin America. But in the sense of just crossing the border like that, I believe that the United States does have the right to send troops. Now, where I don't think that they have the right to send troops, well, they do have the right, but I wouldn't say that they have a valid reason, is to say that they're trying to prevent terrorism. That is because the United States actually armed the majority of the crime syndicates that are out in Latin America. If you actually guys look up the program Fast and the Furious, that's what the United States did. It armed the cartels. Like, it actually sold the power that they have to actually commit terrorist acts. So for me to say, you know, as a Spanish-speaking person, you know, what do I think about sending troops to prevent such a mass influx of people coming in like that caravan? I agree. I would do the exact same thing if I was in Mexico and the United States was sending floods of people over to our country. And what do you know? That's how Texas was taken. That's how California was taken. Because the United States, not the United States, but people trying to escape the United States and how bad it was before it became the American dream, they fled to Texas. They fled mainly to Texas, and after they just took California by force, and they started squatting on the land of Texas, and the Mexican government tried being lenient and tried, you know, saying that, you know, why not we respect these people, and then next thing you know, the Anglo invaders or squatters or what they call righteous pioneers expanding their manifest destiny, you know, ended up getting aggressive and ended up wanting to take the land from them. And then the United States government came in and said, you know, we got to take this land because our people are in threat. And then supposedly the United States got that land through legal treaties after basically bullying them and threatening them and causing war on them to get that land. So of course, you know, there's always there's always a reason for why people massively flood your lands. For one, war. Another one is basically trying to escape things. And I honestly think, apart from the people who were trying to escape the United States when basically Texas was taken a long time ago, I honestly think that these people are not just flooding over to the border just to take the land the way the English did for California and Texas and all that. I honestly think that they're just flooding the land because their land is pretty bad. And you got to see what the United States does. The United States quite honestly exploits Latin America. It gives them the worst deals, the worst treaties, tries to control entire countries in Latin America, basically calling them just additional states. The media has always made fun of Latin America, has always kind of treated it bad. There is a racism that exists there. I see how African Americans complain about being oppressed by, you know, the United States, when today, you know, African Americans and people of that basically background and history have never had it better in the States. And yet no one says about the actual slave labor that Mexicans go through, the actual discrimination, the actual crap that Latin Americans deal with. You know what I'm saying? And in order to say that they're just sending this caravan over in order to send a bunch of MS-13 cholos and gangsters and just rapists, it's absolutely absurd, okay? Because those people are literally starving. They're flooding across the border because their land is getting messed up. And the United States, I would say, not the United States people, but the United States government has basically almost, I would say 70% of that blame can go to them. Because all those cartels, those groups, those communist uprisings, you know, those things where the United States have had to send troops in, where they've had to have intervention, just like arming the cartels of Mexico. Look up the program, Fast and Furious. that's what the United States government did, the CIA. It basically armed the cartels. You know what I'm saying? So the United States has been doing that a lot in Latin America, and then what it does on the news is that it says, you know, all these reasons and stuff like that. And a lot of people in the United States, you know, they don't like Latin Americans because they're neighbors. They're bordering regions that basically rival them. The conflicts between Texas and California. And the thing is that that's why the United States began beating down Latin America, was because the United States has been in competition with Latin American land. You can understand why you need to put a lot of security, a lot of chaos into Latin America and keeping it fragmented and messed up and full of crime and corruption, sponsoring cartels. Now you guys can say conspiracy theory, you guys can say that this is not true, but it is true. Anyone who studies politics and knows what Latin America has dealt with the United States, what the United States has dealt with between Latin America, you guys know that this is the most real shit that you can ever hear. Besides what you actually hear relating those things. Until next time, guys, you take care and goodbye.